I used to spend my evenings by myself, you know. Went through every number on my telephone. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. I never thought that maybe I needed a friend. You have always been there together till the end. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. Now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. You're here when I need you, steady by my side. You always make me smile when things are weighing me down. We will dance together till the sunrise. We always have a good time. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. But now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free.
All right, everyone, let's try that again. Can you hear me now? Is the sound okay now? Thank you so much for coming back into the chat, everyone. Oi, what on earth is going on? It's the firm, I tell you, it's the derangers. Okay, yes, you can hear me. And you know what? I figured out what the sound problem was, right? So I had my Bluetooth on and my laptop was tethering off the internet from my phone because it had joined connected with my phone. Oh my God. And do you know what? That might actually be the trouble with, that we've been having with sound in general. I am currently on Wi-Fi because I still don't have broadband where we've moved. It's a bit of a nightmare to get it where we are. But hopefully it just should be a lot better now going forward with this new mic. And I'm so sorry. Welcome back to the chat, everyone. And can I just say thank you to the person who gave a super sticker and who joined memberships. I'm so sorry that you gave your donation to the channel on literally the worst podcast I've had all year, but I hope that you are back in the room. And as I was saying, thank you so much to everyone because I didn't realize that September was just going to be such a wild month, but it has been the most successful month on Duchess of Success, and I'm so grateful for all of you. And also, one more time in the chat, a round of applause for Arnold, please, because it is Arnold's birthday today. Happy sweet 16, Arnold. All right, so let's get back to Bears Nuts. So, the first story that I had started with was Charles sending a letter of condolences to those affected by Hurricane Fiona. And I send my condolences also. It's never a nice thing to go through, having your home and your surroundings completely destroyed, and many of those people cannot move. They don't have, the choice. But all I can send is my condolences. Charles has 500 million in inheritance that he could send, even just a small little donation. And the royals don't give. And I think as time goes on, and as we're going to get into a little bit more later on in the podcast, it's going to become more and more obvious how little the royals do actually give in comparison to the wealth that they have. And Harry and Meghan, um, as we know, always give generously when it comes to um, situations like this. And obviously, through their Archwell Foundation, they gave money to World Central Kitchen um, to build a food center in Dominica, and I think they have two other World Central Kitchen kind of hubs as well. I think they've got one in Puerto Rico, and they also helped with Ukraine. Um, and this is all through the Archwell Foundation in partnership with World Central Kitchen, and of course, Meghan's Hub cookbook, which till this day is raising money for the Royal Foundation, but initially was meant to help the people of Grenfell, and it did help the people of Grenfell. But the royals, however, uh, believe that all they need to do is smile and wave. And my favourite clip ever.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time, and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it's lots more than financial.
Yeah. Well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So
Yes, the odd smile here and there, and wave, and message of condolences while we have 500 million sitting in the bank. Oi. Rosa Roberts, Duchess, you know that World Central Kitchen will be there. Of course, I'm sure that they are getting the troops together and making sure that they are going to be there for those in need, as they always are. All right, welcome to the chat, everyone. If you're just joining us, we had a bit of sound issues, so we had to restart the podcast, but we are back on track. All right, moving on from that, and of course, if you can help in any way in Florida, please do. I'm sure there are some great organizations helping on the ground, but those of you in the chat who are Americans, haven't they sent the National Guard, right? So hopefully those people should be getting help. In Netflix news, Netflix apparently wants to say the quiet parts out loud. So Natasha McElhone has been cast to play Penny. Is it these people with their names? Natchball. And Penny is Philip's lifelong friend with like 3 R's. She's been very, very close with the royals. I don't actually know what Penny's background is. I'm going to research it a little bit more, but there she is as a youngin, looking very pretty, mind you. Back in the day with Charles. And so yes, she has been friends with me being shady, friends with Philip for some time, and also with the Queen. And there has been eyebrows raised about the closeness of her relationship with Philip. Penny also has a daughter who bears a very strange resemblance to William. And she was accompanied on her wedding day by Charles. So I'm gonna let y'all think what you want to think about that. And yeah, the next season of the Crown. Well, I mean, the next season of the Crown is going to be very, very interesting, and then the next season of the Crown is going to be even more interesting. But I find it interesting also that they would choose to add Penny's storyline, and they seem to have taken out, Jimmy Savile, and there's quite a few things that they seem to have taken out. From well, I mean, they've taken out a lot from the whole series in general, like all the raping and pillaging, and but it's interesting that they would want to put Penny's story in. Of all the stories, like, I would have thought that they would include Savile. But that is that. Over on their socials, Domino's Pizza UK, which is like the big pizza franchise here. I guess it's like the UK version of Papa John's. I don't know if you have Domino's in the US, but basically they make pizzas. And they posted this on their Twitter. They said, "Apologies to anyone waiting on their pizza. We've just received an order from Holly and Phil, hashtag this morning." Now, as I'm sure we will remember, during the lining for Lizzie's box saga, Holly and Phil skipped the line. And a lot of people were even calling for them to lose their jobs for skipping the line to see Lizzie's box. Mind you, there was a VIP line and a normal people line, and I don't know what they were expecting. Like, they were expecting celebrities to line up with all of the peasants and the poor people. No, of course not. Of course the VIPs are going to have their own lines. They didn't have to line up for 15 hours. But what makes this tweet even more funny is that This Morning actually sent a complaint to Domino's Pizza. So we can bully and harass Meghan for 5 or 6 years, it's been now, every single morning, but we can't take a little joke from Domino's Pizza. These people are fragile. Right, go to your comments before we move on. And thank you so much, everyone. What do you want on the screen? Do you want the what we wanted, what we got, what we wanted, what we got? We'll stick to what we got for now. Those that know what that means know. Hello, welcome to the chat, everyone. Dorothy Ross, you are not late at all. In fact, you're right on time because we had to start the podcast again. Himi, I have cousins near Orlando hanging in there. Oh. I hope they are okay. Louise, they're mobilizing as we speak. I hope they are. Stay safe, everyone. Myra, 100 million annually to wave. Should not be better use that money helping people in need. Of course it would. It's always been better to use that money helping people in need. But when have they ever done that? Some of your comments about Penny. Julia Rock, is she an aunt? No, Julia, she's not an aunt. She is a friend with 3 R's. It's Savile and Peter Ball as well. And who was the other one? There was another really notorious guy that Charles is friends with, but his name, it's gone from my head. Yeah, Gemini, Holly and Phil are getting dragged, as they should be. What were people expecting? Did you really think that they were going to line up for 15 hours? Yes, Dawn, they can dish it out, but they can't take it in. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. Very, very excited about The Crown, though. It's probably going to be one of the most anticipated seasons because we're going right into the thick of the Diana years. Right, in UK economy news, pound is still down. I hope this better improve by the time I like leave. 'Cause I'm hoping to go away starting uh January, and this is not good. This is not good at all. Uh that's gonna be a picture of people in the UK in like a year or two with a whole cart of money just to buy bread. I believe that picture is actually from Germany, hyperinflation that happened in Germany. But this, unfortunately, is the risk when you have very dodgy economic policy. And anybody that thinks that it can't happen, well, I mean, talk to people in Turkey right now. Talk to people in Lebanon. Talk to people in Russia. Hyperinflation is a very serious risk, and I encourage everyone, as and when you can, to buy silver and gold. Just to have a little bit stashed aside is never going to hurt. If anything, you can always sell it at some point or pass it down. But don't think that these things can't happen. They can. Our economy is fragile and it's being run by madmen like this. Um, Now, the individual in question who is in charge at the moment of what's going on is a guy named, oh gosh, I can't even say his name properly. Quasi. That's the black guy there. And Quasi used to work for a gentleman called Crispin Odey, who owns a hedge fund. And he made millions overnight when the Brexit result made the pound crash. And he's also made millions overnight because of Quasi's budget, which made the pound crash because he bet against the market. And he used to be employed. And he employed Quasi. That like if that is not a conflict of interest, if that is not helping your banker body basically profit from a disaster, I don't know what is. And I am just astounded that this is being allowed here in the UK. Like if this was happening in any other country, I mean, how much do they go on about Venezuela? And this is being allowed to happen in the middle of a cost of living crisis. Um, and I would have thought by now maybe there would be pushback, maybe there would be something. It seems like people are sitting on their hands. As a result of this, also it's affecting mortgage rates, lenders pulling deals, and it could send the mortgage rates going sky high. And that might mean that there's higher payments for people. And if they can't make those payments, they could lose their homes. So um, it's not looking very bright in the UK. Hopefully they can come to some kind of solution. But listen, I know very little about economics, the bare basics. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen at this point. We're just going to have to wait and see. I do know that I am making moves myself and our family to protect ourselves and have whatever assets abroad that we can have, because I honestly think that there will be a recovery, as there usually always is, but the disaster that's going to be left behind and where the country is now going, I don't see things getting any better. Um, Benjamin, the bullying of Megan is taken on greater ferocity. It's almost hard to go on social media and escape from it. I can't wait till I go after Charles. Well, there's evidence to suggest that the tide has already turned. I mean, what are we, only a week out from the Queen passing? Amy Andrews, I'm not going to put your comment on the screen in case it triggers the censors, but my answer to your question is yes. Rahini, do we call this leveling down? Yes. Leveling down. Leveling down indeed. But while all of that is going on, all of that is as you know, before I go into the next part on Quasi, because I just really want to make this point. There is an MP called Rupa Huck, and she called Kwasi superficially black. She said at a Labour Party conference, if you hear him on the Today programme, you wouldn't know he's black. Now, can we acknowledge that Kwasi, as a black man, is basically being put in this position as a fall guy, that it's what I like to call faux diversity, that he is basically just a puppet, and they're using him so that they can push their policies but hide behind his blackness? Yes, I think we can acknowledge that. However, I do not think that Rupa's comments were at all acceptable, because it paints the idea that black people are a monolith, that we are one-dimensional and all fit into one stereotype. And for her as an Asian woman to say that, I think is even doubly doubly offensive. But just because somebody else is a person of color doesn't mean that they can't be racist. And I know for me, as a black woman, because of the way that I speak, because of the way that I, present myself, because I'm not, I guess you could, because I don't fit like a certain stereotype, basically. I have often been looked, well, basically the tone that Rupert is using, I've had that used against me, both by black people and non-black people. So I think it's important to remember that, no one group of people are a monolith. And yeah, I just want to say that because I could not believe that this person would say something like that, because I'm sure that there are a lot of people in her political circles, even though she is in the Labour Party, which is somewhat more progressive. I'm sure that there are people who look down on her and who feel that she should not be in those spaces. Rahini, the cost of living crisis is global. Monday was our budget in Trinidad and Tobago, and gas, food, and meds are all going up by like 10%. And people are ready to hang the prime minister. I'm sure they are. Yeah, it's this is why I advocate so much for prepping. Louise, yeah, it was a very problematic statement. And what was even worse was that there were racists calling her racist. Like, that's how you know you've really messed up. Rahini, yeah, there's no such thing as sounding black. There's no such thing. Like, you can have. I guess what she was saying without saying it is he doesn't speak with slang. Basically, is what she's saying, because he enunciates and speaks the Queen's English and does not speak in with a slang like accent, then he doesn't sound black. Well, there are people who aren't black who speak with a slang. And if you could be a black person who was raised in a middle to upper class area who speaks with a posher accent. So it was truly just a silly thing to say. All right, on to the next thing. Right, back to the royals, but sticking with the cost of living crisis. So today on Jeremy Vine, which is becoming like, it's meant to be a morning talk show, it's becoming comedy. They were having a debate on whether or not we should spend 200 million on a royal yacht. Yes, that is what the girlies were debating in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And Femi, our guy Femi here, was on the show. And he basically said, why is it when we couldn't afford school meals for kids, when people are struggling, would we spend 200 million on a yacht? and he brought up a lot of other statistics pertaining to the levels of poverty in the country at the moment. And the other guy on the show was basically like, "Oh, you're always coming with statistics, throwing around statistics. It would be wonderful if we had a boat and it would dazzle everyone and it would dazzle America." I don't know why America would care about us having a 200 million pound royal boat, but this is not the first time the discussion of the boat has come up. It came up in July, and despite the fact that apparently the monarchy didn't want it, I don't know how much I believe that, but apparently Liz Truss did. And so the whole conversation about Royal Yacht Britannia being commissioned again has come up. I don't know why it's come up now. It's incredibly tone deaf. And so is this, leading on to the next point. Miss Catherine. Miss Catherine went to a food bank in Wales, her and William, and she said, "We need places like this with the cost of living crisis." Reminder that the taxpayer spent, how much was it, 12 million on Kensington Palace, and they've now moved over to Windsor. They have 4 properties, multiple helicopters, and hundreds of millions in money and assets. This family. And she shows up to a food bank empty-handed to say that we need places like this. Do you know how many places we need like this? Almost 2,000. We have more food banks in this country than McDonald's outlets. We will probably need another 2,000. And you show up completely empty-handed with nothing. It was Meghan that did the Together cookbook that raised money for Grenfell. It's Meghan and Harry, who have the Archwell Foundation, that are building kitchens around the world. And this is why, or one of the reasons why, the smear campaign continues to be so vicious. Because the bar for royals is in hell. It is absolutely in hell. They want to keep it in hell. And Harry and Meghan continue to raise the bar. They don't want people to ask more of them. Because as we know, all they want to do is this.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time and we really care about what's going on. So
Sometimes it's lots more than financial.
well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So, you know.
Yes, the odd smile here and there is all they want to give. So, Kate made the comments about the importance of community services during a discussion with volunteers and members of the congregation at St. Thomas Church in Swansea, her first visit to Wales since inheriting her new title. And also remember when Meghan went to visit the shooting victims in Texas, she also bought food for that community center that was helping families at the time when that happened. The article goes on to say, over the last 2 years, the church has been transformed into a community hub, which includes a food bank, facilities for homeless people, and not-for-profit cafe and community training kitchen. The site is also home to Swansea Baby Bank, a volunteer-led project that distributes essentials to vulnerable mothers and their newborn babies across the city. During the visit with her husband, William, Kate said, with the cost of living crisis, there are a lot of desperate people out there. No is Sherlock. Really? You just now noticed that Britain is going back to Dickensian times. The royal said that the food bank was a lifeline to so many people, particularly after the pandemic amid the soaring cost of living. And then the Daily Mail goes on to talk about the so-called royal protocol on talking about politics and when it's been breached. By convention, the family do not comment on political issues, but they can't seem to keep their nose out of political issues, out of respect for the monarchy's constitutional role. But the conversation is not without precedent. In March of 2016, The Sun ran a splash headline claiming the Queen backs Brexit, which was slammed by the watchdog Ipso for being inaccurate, although the paper stood by its reporting. It was later alleged Michael Gove was the source of the story, Michael Gove, remember that is Sarah Vine's ex-husband. Sarah Vine, who wrote that infamous "I have a niggling feeling" about Harry and Meghan's relationship, and she's been very nasty about Meghan. That's her ex-husband. It was later alleged Michael Gove was the source of the story, which was linked to Her Majesty speaking to then Deputy PM Nick Clegg about the EU. So the Fail ran this story, but in general, I haven't seen much outrage in the press over what she said, despite the fact that it was incredibly insensitive. There are going to be planned protests in Wales this this Saturday. And if you remember, when Charles went up to Wales for the Queen's funeral, he was met with boos. And also there was one gentleman who straight up told him to his face, "Why are we spending 100 million on you when we can't heat our homes?" Do I actually have that clip? Or did I delete it to make... Okay, unfortunately, I think I deleted it from my back end to make room. But that happened. And someone said, Joy Goma on Twitter said, "The fact that Prince William is 40 years old and only now that he is named Prince of Wales, a title previously held by his father, for 64 years is starting to learn Welsh and proudly proclaims he only knows one word for tea is what you need to know about the British royal family. The bar is in hell." Might actually be below hell, if there's anything below hell. It's just really unreal. Do you know what? It's almost like they just want to throw it in our faces, right? Yes, Miss Kathy, they want the Royal Britannia boat to dazzle the US. Yes, Tripodilly. So the woman who just inherited £1 billion. Go away, Kate. Indeed. Like, if you're not going to come with anything in your hands, don't come at all. And I just think that now that the Queen's gone, there's nothing to protect them now. Dorothy Ross, could she not have bought something to help? Meghan or Harry would not have come empty-handed. They sure had the money. Exactly. You know, if Harry and Meghan aren't bringing money, they're at least bringing a few food packages. Maldwell, in my opinion, that's why the royal family and firm felt that Meghan had to go, because she was willing to put the work in and they was not. Yeah. At least when Americans don't care about a $250 million boat. The new 2 Air Force One President planes cost $4 billion each. $4 billion each? What? What? Oh my goodness. That is a lot of money to spend on a Air Force One. But yeah, I get your point. Like, I mean, Americans have NASA, Google, and Apple. Like, there's no way. There's no way a damn boat is gonna impress the US. They've got enough to be proud of. Wendy, I blame the Brits for this nonsense. Why are they not protesting in the streets on royals' behaviour? Good question. But I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna lead that protest. I'll be at home doing a live stream on the podcast for the protest when people finally decide to protest. Wendy, is William still speaking at the UN? I have no idea. I'm sure he'll make sure that he does. Yeah, and do these people, do they look like they're in mourning? I mean, look at that. We're back to grinning. Barely been a week. But some people lined up for 15 hours to see Lizzie's box. Farron, he should be fluent in Welsh, and George should be learning it. I mean, he should be at least be able to say greetings, no? Kids indoor, did they even help make meal packages to deliver to people? I doubt it. You know, if you give the one group of peasants just a little bit of bread, they'll all be asking, So we can't be having that. No, no, no. No porridge for you. All right. That was that. Now, there was another story that came out about George telling his classmates that his father will be king, so that you better watch out. And straight away, I thought back to the fact that Archie was only 7 months old, I think, when the press called him a brat. Now, as I always say with these situations, the children did not choose to be royal. I actually think that this story, I don't know who originally posted the story. I don't think it was LBC. I think it was another news site, and then it got reprinted by LBC. But whoever put this story out there, I think that it is greatly irresponsible. I don't think that there should be stories like this being put out about royal children. I will never forget, and I'm still trying to find that piece of footage. But there was a paparazzo guy who was given an interview, and he brought up Harry, and he was basically rubbing his hands together like he'd just seen the juiciest pork chop, and talking about how he couldn't wait for Harry to come of age, so that that the drama could start, and he could get like pictures of like Harry falling out of nightclubs and being a lad, basically just waiting for this young man to grow up, to fail, to be rowdy, so he could make money. And this is what happens to all of the young royals. And it's very obvious that he is not being the Cambridge children are not being protected. They're going to be wheeled out and used for PR, and the tabloid press, I think when the time is right, probably around the teen years, are going to treat these children, and the Sussex children also, but I think the Sussex children will be a lot more protected. Um, just treat them as tabloid fodder, as clickbait. Um, and it's sad. It is really sad. They did not choose this, and I think that this is very harmful, especially for George's mental health, and I think who he's going to become, because he is growing up as the son of a future king when monarchy is becoming less and less relevant. So can you imagine some kid just turning around and going, "Oh, your father's going to be king? Well, I don't care." How that is going to crush his self-esteem as a kid, and how that could affect him growing up. And the same with Charlotte and the other children as well. And with the Sussex children, well, they're going to bully them forever. So very irresponsible of the press, and irresponsible of the Cambridge parents' children. Sorry, of the Cambridge children's parents. Sorry, for not protecting them. They're just going to be ruled out, and it's like what Harry was saying in the Me You Can't See. Just because you went through something doesn't mean that your children have to go through something as well. And that is why I have so much respect for Harry as a father and as a man, because it's becoming more and more obvious when you see headlines like this about George, what it is that Harry was protecting his children from. Um, Joyce, they don't have anyone to use anymore, so the children are up for grabs. They don't have Harry, William, and Kate's kids. All right, yes, they are basically going to be the full, for their parents. Um, and if George is acting out much like his brother, well, was publicly putting his hand on his mum's face, that says a lot about Kate and William's parenting. Joyce, the Sussex kids will be raised in the US, and that protects them from future bullying. Montecito seems to protect their privacy. Yes, yes, and we, as far as we know, anyway, we don't even know where the Sussex children go to school, whereas where the Cambridge children are going to school was a national announcement. I find that wild. These children need to be left to be children. Yeah, anyway, moving on from that. Charlie got his royal seal. This is what it looks like. The first thing I thought when I saw this was it literally looks like somebody put this together on Canva. Like, I make graphics and stuff all the time, and I I could do a better job than this. This literally looks like no, do you know what? Not even Canva. This looks like Microsoft Paint 97 clip art. That's what this looks like. And people straight away started seeing similarities to other things. There's a company called The Real Unicorn Suran that has a very, very similar seal. Literally the crown with the C and the R. And then also Cristiano Ronaldo. His CR7 logo looks very similar. And then the interwebs decided to have a little bit of fun. HRH Tanya putting tampons in the middle of the R. I don't know if you can see, but those are literally tampons. And then somebody else writing the word crap. So this, I guess, in many ways makes Charles's reign even more real, because this is the symbol that is going to replace all of the queens. So on royal correspondence, on any products that have the royal seal will have this. Mailboxes, basically anywhere where the seal is. His Majesty's so and so. You're going to see this. And that is going to cost a lot of money, mind you. Replacing all of the Queen's insignia with Charles's, with the King's, and all of the money. So we're going to have to spend money to print new money. And all of the countries where Lizzie's face is on their money. I might actually do a video on what happens with the money. And also, I think the stamps. So I believe the figure and how much it's going to cost us is going to be around about 6 point something billion in total. That's how much we're going to spend for our new king. Over in countries where royals are more sensible, the Danish palace is actually removing prince and princess titles from the queen's grandchildren. The children of Queen Margaret II, son Prince Joachim, will lose their prince and princess titles from January 1st of next year, the Danish palace said on Wednesday. The Queen has decided to strip 4 of her grandchildren, the children of her second son, Prince Joachim, of their prince and princess titles as of January 1st, the palace said in a statement. The 4 grandchildren will retain other titles such as counts and countess of Pisat. The prince's descendants will thus have to be addressed as excellencies in the future. The Queen's decision is in line with similar adjustments that other royal houses have made in various ways in recent years. The palace said the Queen wants to give the 4 children freedom to be able to shape their own lives to a much greater extent without being limited by the special consideration and duties that a former affiliation with the Royal House of Denmark as an institution involves. The 4 grandchildren are Nikolai, 23, Felix, 20, and Henrik, 13, and Athena, 10. So obviously, with this house, with this royal house, you don't have a situation where it just so happens that they're suddenly changing it because a biracial woman had biracial children. So this is what I expect in line with a royal house that has long modernized and continues to move into the modern age. This is exactly what I expect. But they've been modernizing for a long time. With the British royals, we suddenly started talking about removing titles from young prince and princesses when the biracial children came in. And that's what makes it so sinister. But good on the Danish palace. for encouraging the younger royals to try and live more normal lives and to slim down their monarchy. That is pretty much all for today. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. Shout out to whoever did this great Photoshop of Charles snickering at his aide, but they took the background out and put him in an office. This is the future of royals right here. Working an actual job. Alrighty, folks, let's finish with your comments and we'll call it a day. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, mods. And sorry about the sound issues. Yeah, the insignia looks like a cartoon drawing, right? Like, what even? I mean, the Queen's was actually pretty well designed. But I guess the time that it was designed, they yeah, it was designed at a time when they really took care with these things. Joan, they must have rushed the artwork for his insignia. Well, wouldn't they have had it ready a while ago? Benjamin, this is why the Sussexes are private. This is what they mean by private. The room to breathe, not hibernate. But the British press only conveniently and selectively understand what they wish. Exactly. Yes, exactly, Marina. In 10 years. Oh, are you only giving Chucky 10 years? You're only giving him 10 years. Yeah, and we'll have to change it all again. Can you believe that? That's wild. Have to spend all that money again. Oh. A ladybird. Nikolai is a model. Oh, good for him. Earning his own money. I mean, I'm sure he'll get inheritance, but it's good that they're encouraging their kids to live more normal lives. Oh, Dana, the name Gochim is pronounced. Was it Joachim? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for correcting me. Yeah, good for them that they're moving towards having more independent lives, and that doesn't mean that they completely let go of their their royal family uh, backgrounds, but they should be able to fend for themselves. Oh, no worry, Himi. Thank you for joining me again, even though I had to restart the podcast. Yeah, Louise, that's null, exactly. uh, get me my pen. Yes, Adrian, the whole family needs therapy. And I say that as someone who has gone to therapy and highly advocates for therapy and knows what it looks like when someone needs therapy. Go to therapy. See, Mac, he had 70 years to have that thing designed, and it looks like something I can buy on Fiverr. Exactly. uh, thank you so much, Anna Dane, for the super sticker. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, mods, as usual. Annette, going to replay. Yes, if you're just joining us, it's better that you watch on replay. Andrew Burrows, I hope Charles is to be 100. I hope so too, actually. Just to annoy William. Long live the king. Oh, thank you so much, Dana Dane. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, thank you, Dorothy Ross, for super sticker. Much appreciated, darling. Gail, the image on the crown on that thing looks a bit naff. It does. Like, who is responsible for this? All right, Anna, I will give you the last word of the day. Let there be peace, no war. I agree. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow. And don't forget that Fridays is debate and chat days. So I will allow you on air to speak. Okay? See you tomorrow. Bye.
I used to spend my evenings by myself, you know. Went through every number on my telephone. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. I never thought that maybe I needed a friend. You have always been there together till the end. I thought that all I needed was someone to hold, but I was wrong. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. Now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. You're here when I need you, steady by my side. You always make me smile when things are weighing me down. We will dance together till the sunrise. We always have a good time. Finding love ended in disaster. No such thing as happily ever after. Love ended in disaster, disaster. But now I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free. I'm free. You show me that I don't need somebody. I only need myself, now it's just me. I'm gonna be free, be free.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.